Hey everyone, I'm Matt Spadoni with CommUniverCity, and thank you for joining us for our flood preparedness workshop. So with the fall rains bringing an end to the fire season, we also need to remember that the rainy season brings the potential of flooding, which is one of the biggest environmental dangers our community faces. And behind me is a portion of Coyote Creek, which is Santa Clara County's longest river at 63.6 miles. And Coyote Creek has a long history of flooding, even before humans began making alterations to the natural flow of the creek. The most recent flood of Coyote Creek was in 2017, which caused thousands of families to evacuate and millions of dollars of damage. So what we want to do in this workshop is give you some things to be more prepared for floods in the future, so that we can all keep our families safe. Okay, so the first thing you want to do to be prepared for a future flood is to create an evacuation plan. And what you'll want to do is create the plan with everyone in your family so that everyone knows what to do in case of an emergency. This evacuation plan should have in it where flood zones are in relation to your house and where you plan on evacuating to. So the way you can do this is by Googling, "Is your home in a flood zone?" followed by Valley Water. On their website, there's a tool where you can type in your address and it will show you where flood zones are in relation to your house and where you're going to. So this is important because we want to know a safe direction to drive to avoid flooding waters if a flood is happening near you. The second thing you want to do is to create a flood emergency kit. So in this emergency flood kit, you want to have non-perishable food, extra clothes for your entire family. So this bag is just small because it's just for me. An emergency blanket, a first aid kit, flashlights or even glow sticks, because glow sticks can get wet and not get ruined. And you also want to have possibly a whistle. And the third thing you want to do to be prepared for a flood is to get a large waterproof container. This container you can use to store documents that could get ruined by water, like your birth certificates or medical records, or even family photo albums. These containers can cost between $40 and $100, but it's hard to put a price on your family photo albums and other documents that you could lose. Now, even if you've made all of these preparations, you could still find yourself in a dangerous situation. Floods happen quickly, and if you find yourself near rising waters, here are some things to remember. First, get yourself and your family to safety. If you can't evacuate, find higher ground. If water hasn't started entering your home, you can turn off your electricity at the breaker and unplug your appliances. But if water has started entering your home, you should call the utility company and have them turn off your power for you. Never go into flooded waters, and also never drive through flooded waters. You don't know how deep the water is, and you could get stuck in the middle of the flood. Also, after flood waters have stopped rising, they can still be dangerous, so never try to swim through them unless you have to. They could be carrying waterborne diseases like hepatitis and typhoid, or they could be electrified. Now, let's say there's a flood coming, and you've listened to authorities and evacuated when they told you to do so. You were quick and efficient because you had an evacuation plan ready and an emergency flood kit. So 2 weeks pass, and the authorities tell you that it's safe for you to go home now. There are still some things to remember and dangers to be aware of when returning to a flooded home. First, you want to be aware that the electricity might not be safe to turn on, so listen to professionals on whether or not you can do that. Also, be aware that animals and mold may have come into your home while you were gone, so be cautious when entering your home for animals or moldy conditions. Lastly, keep listening to authorities because they will be giving you lots of information on safe things to do and proper ways to be getting back into your house. Okay, so today we learned to be prepared for a flood, you should have a plan and a kit. If you're caught during a flood, you should find higher ground and don't swim in the water unless you absolutely have to. When returning to a flooded home, remember to listen to the directions of the professionals and to be precautious when going back in your home. Lastly, it's important to remember that floods are really rare, and for most of the time, rivers are a beautiful and peaceful place to visit. It's important that we are protecting our rivers and keeping them clean of litter and other things. Thank you all so much for joining me for today's flood preparedness workshop. I hope that after listening, we're all a little bit more prepared for any future floods. And until next time, thank you very much. Bye, everyone.